Hello, my name is George. This is GLLR Cars. Welcome to the channel. Today I was thinking about talking on a topic related to the different type of car choices that are out there based on your situation. And sometimes what we want does not match up to what we need. The other day I was talking to someone who was riding with me and was thinking about the type of car that he could have had but not necessarily should have had because of what he needed a car for. And that got me thinking about your car of choice. Sometimes it's not just determined by what you want, but what you really need. And we've seen it all too often when someone gets the car that they want but not the one that they need. Case in point, someone who has a family and they have a two-door sports car and they're crawling in the back seat, moving the front chair to get to the baby seat and strap the baby in the back. That's just someone who's not being practical. In the end, it's all about what we really need and not what we want. So those are the obvious choices. I think what I would like to share with you is that there are some choices that are not so obvious. And what I'm getting at is there are situations when what you need has somewhat of a compromise when it comes to the car that you're looking for. And I'm going to use an example of someone who wants, let's say, a sports car, but that someone has a family of two, let's just say, and let's say that they are not kids that are on car chairs. Let's say that they're 7 and 12, and so actually that would be family of 4, so it would be a wife and 2 kids. That's what I meant. So the obvious choice would be a car that has at least 4 doors, possibly a SUV if you're hauling a lot of stuff, possibly a truck if you need to use a lot of cargo space and haul a lot of stuff, or just put a bunch of stuff in the back. But if that person is a sports car person, there is a trade-off. And the trade-off is this: there are certain cars that were made for those who want the sports car feel, somewhat of a sports car look, because there's a compromise there, but still have 4 doors and still have the capacity for a family. So in this example, if this individual wants room for a total of 4, 3 passengers and himself, and let's just say that the amount of storage necessary is not outrageous and this person does not need to haul anything, there are 4-door, what they call coupes, grand coupes, or 4-door sports cars like they call them. And some car makers, if you look at some of the luxury brands, the Mercedes has like for instance the CLA. The CLA is the sports version of the C class, and the C class does come in 2 doors, but they do have a 4-door, and the CLA comes in 4 doors. The same applies to the E class and the S class. Even the S class has a sporty version where the lines are a little bit more sloped. The roof line is a little bit curved in the back. Again, it's just a matter of taste, and yet you still have the cargo space in that case. For, let's just say, the Audis. The Audis, they have the even numbers are usually your normal sedan numbers or model cars. If you're looking at the sporty ones, those are usually the odd numbers. So instead of your A4, 6, and 8s, you have your A3s, your A5s, and your 7s, and the case of the ones that come with 4 doors, those would make good choices for a compromise for someone who wants a sports car yet they need the space. In the case of BMWs, which I'm very well and familiar with, the even numbers. So in the case of this very car, this is a 4 Series. The 4 Series does come in what they call a Grand Coupe. So a Grand Coupe is the 4-door, basically a sedan, but they call it Grand Coupe. And it is a sporty 4-door version of this very car. The 6 Series, which by the way, in the US, the 6 Series will not be available. What's on dealer lots is pretty much what's going to be sold out. That one, they had already eliminated the coupe, and it was down to what they call the Grand Coupe. Again, it's a 4-door sports car version, and that's being replaced with the 8 Series. And the 8 Series that started out with the coupe version now has a Grand Coupe that's available, and that's basically the replacement to the 6 Series. And that's also that other compromise. Some other car makers like Nissan have a in fact, the Nissan Maxima was pitched as a 4-door sports car. It actually was in the ads themselves, and if you look at it, it's an appealing looking car that doesn't look too boring, and that's part of what a sports car enthusiast looks for. They look for something that not just drives good and feels good, but something that also looks good. And that's another one that I would say was probably another choice that could be had for that compromise. Now, if you look in serious high performance, there is a Cayman, a 4-door Porsche. It's not an expensive, it's not a cheap car, it's a very expensive car, but if your means allow it, that is probably one of the best compromises that are out there. If you look at some other high performance cars like Lambo or Ferrari, Bugatti, all of these really high performance cars, they really don't make a 4-door version of it. They only make 2-door versions. In the case of Lamborghini, they do have an SUV, but if you're looking for a 4-door car, the Porsche Panamera, and now the 4-door electric version, well, I wouldn't say an electric version of it, but it kind of looks a little bit like it, but it's a brand new car, is the Taycan, which is supposed to compete with the likes of the Tesla Model S. And that takes me to Tesla, another car maker that makes good looking cars that are high performance. Again, they're not cheap, but if you're okay with electric, and it is very sporty, it is very good looking, it's got very high tech, probably some of the best tech that's out there. Again, it's a matter of choice, but very good tech. Then the likes of Tesla, the Model S, the Model 3 may not look as sporty, but it's not a bad looking car, and it's still very high performing car. It may not have the rumble of a internal combustion engine, but if you want is that punch, when you punch the car, something's going to punch you back. There's nothing like it, really. Punching it here a little bit. So if you want to stay, so again, I went on quite a bit about the trade-off about getting a car that is sporty looking and one that would satisfy the performance needs of an enthusiast for sports cars and still have room for, say, family. Let's just say that a sedan or just any type of car is out of the question. It has to be an SUV. Well, because the SUV segment has become the dominant segment in the car industry, the SUVs have evolved to where now you can get high-performing SUVs, electric SUVs, sporty SUVs, and the likes. I talked a little bit about Lamborghini. They have Lamborghini Urus, whatever they want to pronounce it. So that Urus is a 500 plus horsepower SUV that has the lines and the looks of a Lamborghini, and It has that DNA in it. So you know that you're in a high performance car and it looks good and it drives good. If you're looking at something along the lines of something that's a little bit more all-wheel drive, or something that could go off-road and all-terrain, then you're looking at the Land Rovers. Land Rovers, they make cars that are 500 horsepower and above SUVs. The Land Rover, Range Rover Sport, and such. They come with different packages with the different engines, and the Range Rover, or at least the Range Rover Sport, which is one of the ones that I like more, has very good appearance, very good performance, and it has the creature comforts for a family, and you can even tow with it with that type of power that you have. If you are looking for something a little bit more affordable, Ford has redesigned the Ford Explorer. They went from front-wheel drive to the rear-wheel drive Ford Explorer, and they have an ST version that is high performance, and of course it won't compete with the likes of the Lamborghini Urus, or even like a Tesla Model X, by the way. But you have a car that is more affordable, and a car that it won't be boring at a very reasonable price. So the choices are plentiful, and more car makers. I talked a little bit about Porsche, and they have those SUVs that are high performance. And as more and more car makers are putting faster engines or more powerful engines, and basically making SUVs fun, then we see that having to quote-unquote settle for an SUV may not be such a bad thing. I've owned SUVs, I've driven SUVs. They're not my preferred vehicle of choice, but I do like trucks. And if you are now, this is a good segue, if you're talking about trucks, high performance trucks, nothing new. The folks that like pickup trucks and wanted good performance out of a pickup truck for many years have been known to make customizations to get more performance out of them. And we've seen some trucks that have outperformed sports cars because of all of the custom work that's been done to them. Now you can get trucks that are high performance stock from dealer lots, basically. One of the most popular ones is the Ford F-150 Raptor, the SVT Raptor, and Dodge has the Ram Rebel, and Chevy has a Chevy Trail Boss high performance version. And maybe they're trying to catch up to Ford in that regard, but we've seen the likes of Toyota also come up with their Tundra, their high performance version, as well as the Nissan come up with the Titan, and they are basically putting more powerful engines, lightening the weight on some of these trucks. Ford was one of the pioneers by putting a lot of aluminum and composite materials to lower the weight of the car. This might have been back in, and I will, if I have this wrong, I will show it at the bottom of the video in the description, but it was around the year 2015 or 2016 when they dropped 700 pounds from the Ford F-150 to gain more performance out of the car. So when you drop weight, you don't have to be adding horsepower. It's the equivalent of adding horsepower, because now that punch effect of the car can be felt more the less mass you have to push around on your car. Plus it makes the car more agile and more nimble, so it's not a bad thing. So basically, just to wrap it up, it is a good time to be a person shopping, looking for a car, to own a car, because of the many choices that are out there. If you look at many other industries where there is competition, not many industries, I was going to say no other industry, but really not many industries have as many choices of brands, models, versions, configurations, etc., you name it. That's the car industry. So there's a little bit for everyone. Now, I was focusing basically on the needs based on what you like and what you want versus what you really need, and how you can compromise between what you want and what you need. I didn't get into some other situations related to, well, is this a car that I would own for a very long time? Is this a car that I'm going to use for a short period of time? So we could get more into some other factors that go into the car buying decision, but that will probably be the topic for another video. In this case, I'm ignoring, the length of time that a car is going to be owned, the factors like reliability, ownership costs, maintenance costs, and things of that nature. I kind of pretty much covered the whole spectrum of the various vehicles that are out there available for us to choose from, and that's the idea behind it. So knowing that there's a lot of choices, and knowing that there are some compromises, I would welcome you to try them. Very few places or dealerships will turn you down if you're willing to seriously consider a car that you've done some research on. So do the research, look at them, kind of narrow down the type, the price point, the look, and then once you have, say, a handful of vehicles that you want to compare, then you know where you can go and visit. At that point, it wouldn't be taking advantage of a salesperson. It will be a matter of seeing what it is that you're looking to buy, trying them out, and knowing that now you know which is the target car that you want. My name is George. This is GLLR Cars. And as always, drive safe.